بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. In the name of Allah, the most gracious, the most merciful.
Bismillah, walhamdulillah, wassalatu wassalam ala rasulillah. I can guarantee you that this presentation was not done by AI. And the reason I can guarantee you that it wasn't, if you look up here, you'll see, look at the title that I have on the PowerPoint. The last half of it is lopped off. And the amazing part about it is that I had an assistant that helped me with that. The AI part was totally lopped off. And you can imagine that we went in a because I need an assistant at my age to look at these things, but I didn't use Chat GPT to do it. That's very obvious. So that's the bad news. The good news is that we started late, so I'm only going to be 5 minutes because most of what I research is not relevant. And so let me just say a few things from the position as the chief executive of the Islamic Center of America and as a college professor. We're struggling with AI, right? Because we don't know what to do with it. Many institutions have totally banned it. That's almost impossible. And other institutions are still struggling with how you take AI and put it in the curriculum in a way that will increase people's ability. I just want to remind you as Muslims that we've been here before. We were here at the beginning of our founding community when there was a debate about whether or not to write down the Quran. Right? If you look at that, we were here when the printing press came to being, and people were very upset about printing as opposed to people writing the Quran. And so this is not new. What is new is that we are behind the 8 ball instead of being in front of it. And what I mean by that is that if you look at disciplines like psychology and healthcare, you'll find that if you study the history, as many of these panelists know better than I do, we were forerunners. I mean, there's an organization called Meristan that's run by one of our faculty, our visiting faculty members, Dr. Rania Awad, that they talk about this a lot. The word Meristan comes from a facility, a Muslim facility that was holistic in its approach to medicine long time before other people were talking about it. And as we know, Muslim intellectuals produced some of the first medical books that people study for a very long time. So our problem is that we're behind the times, and so we're trying to struggle to catch up. I'm going to use only one of these slides. So there are about 3.5 million Muslims in the United States. There are about 350,000 people who call themselves disciples of Christ. But when you look at their institutions of higher learning, they have 15 undergraduate schools and 7 seminaries. We have 1 at undergraduate school, right? And barely three seminaries that are run by us. What does this mean? This means that our leadership, our religious leadership, and our intellectual production is often done in institutions by someone else. This group that is 1/10 of who we are has about 27,000 of its people studying in institutions that they run, right? Bright Divinity School, for instance, DFW in Fort Worth is an example, that people don't even think of them, like Notre Dame is thought of as a Catholic institution. People don't think of Bright Divinity School as a Disciples of Christ institution. They are an institution that reflects their values, but also other people go to. And so I just want to sit down in a very short time and say that what we need to do about AI, because many of the people has been presented here, the forerunners, algebra, the forerunners in mathematics help develop what became AI, and we need to become the leaders. I talk about three R's in this regard. We have to reconnect to our usul and make sure that we're firmly grounded, right? We have to regain the intellectual high ground. There was a time in history when people made hijra to us for education, and when Arabic instead of English was the lingua franca of the intellectual. We need to get back there, and then we need to recalibrate, because many times, many of us are so scared of something new that we let other people use it on us before we try to figure out what it's about. So I like to close by quoting El-Hajj Malik Shabazz, who said many years ago, the best thing that we can learn to do is to think for ourselves and not let other people think for us. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Inna Allah wa malaikatahu yusalluna ala an-nabi ya ayyuhalladhina amanu sallu alayhi wa sallimu taslima.